Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia. And today I'm going to be working with the Dandy Garden bundle. So the Dragonfly Garden stamp set, the Dragonfly Punch and the Dandy Garden DSP. So this is really pretty DSP, different colors and some dragonfly prints and dandelion prints on it. This is the card that we're going to be making today. It opens up and you've got your spray of flowers inside. So we're going to need quite a lot of blends. I've got a few different colors of the blends, and you're going to need some vellum for the dragonfly. I'm going to put up the measurements that you can see exactly what sizes you need for everything, and then we'll get started with making it. I'm going to fold the piece for my card in half. And I'm going to stick my DSP down. I actually want that DSP down so that I've got my measurements. I know exactly where I'm going to cut my circle. I'm using the Layering Circles dies. I've split them apart and they're all over, so I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but this one, the inside measures about 4.5 centimeters. That's 2 7/8 inches. And then I've got the scallop circle, which fits just around that. So I'm going to decide where I want my circle. It's bearing in mind that you are going to stamp your flower on the inside, so you don't want it too much in the middle because then you're not going to have a lot of room to write, but also not too far over the edge. So I guess that roughly there will be fine. And then I'm going to put that through my cut and emboss machine. And when I'm putting it through, I'm going to have that open so that I'm only cutting through the top layer of the card. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to cut a piece out of Bumblebee where I'm putting those two together like that so that I'm just getting a thin edge to go around the circle. Okay, so that's my circle cut out, and I've got my edge that's going to go around the sides. We can put that circle aside for something else. Now let's get on to our stamping. The first thing I'm going to do is stamp onto my vellum. Vellum isn't porous, so it will need a little bit of time for the ink to dry. It's not like paper where it's going to dry almost immediately. I'm using this dragonfly, the one with the black body. I particularly want the black body because I want you not to see the body going through, and I'm not going to be colouring that body in. So ink it up and try not to shift the stamp because it will smudge on the vellum. You just want to press and lift. And I'm going to put that aside to let it dry. I don't want anything to smudge over there. Then I'm taking my big flower. Now you're going to need a pencil, and very lightly with the pencil you want to draw around the inside of your cutout. Okay, it doesn't have to be 100% round, but we want an indication on the inside of the card of where that opening is. Now, remember it is a big stamp, so get it nicely inked, and then we're going to stamp it so that the top of my flowers are in the circle. And I'm going to take my cutout circle and put it back in there, because I'm going to stamp my dragonfly, and I don't want the dragonfly, if I go slightly over, to come into my circle here. The head is going to cover it, so it's not a problem if it's a little bit headless to start. Now, if I think, I don't mind if the head gets cut off, but I don't want the wings too close, because we are going to put the circle, but they're also going to be covered. So there's our dragonfly, that's okay. Right, now I can erase my pencil lines. We don't need those anymore. And we're going to start doing some colouring. So, colouring is not my favourite thing. So my colouring is not going to take a very long time and be as beautiful as some people, but it's effective anyway. So starting with Dark Daffodil Delight, I'm colouring in the centres of the flowers. And then taking Dark So Saffron, and I want the smaller edge. I'm just going along the inside of the petals and filling it in. And then with my Light So Saffron, I'm going over that and filling in the petals. And you can see I'm not too fussed if they're not 100% coloured in. I don't mind if there's a bit of white showing through. For my leaves, I'm taking Dark Old Olive and going along the centres. And we're colouring them in with the Light Old Olive. And then I've got my Light Highland Heather, and I'm going to just sort of touch on all of these little flowers. Now the problem that I have is the more I colour, the more I see bits that need to be coloured. So you can do as much or as little of the flowers as you like. I think I'm going to be happy with that. And the last thing I'm going to do is turning this to the back. I'm going to take my light Night of Navy and colour over the wings. I'm gonna put it on here so that we can maybe see it better. And yes, it's easier to colour a big piece with the bigger tip. And again, I'm not completely fussed about it being completely coloured, because it's going to give us a bit of that lacy look if it's not completely coloured. And I'll let that dry for a couple of minutes again. So getting back to my card, I'm going to take this splotchy wings bit, and with my light of navy, I'm going to colour the wings in. Now, it doesn't have to go completely over, and in fact the stamp set is not an exact match. It'll just give you colour filling in a bit, but it's not colouring it in 100%. Here's my edging that I'd cut out with my Tombow and a light hand. We're going to put some glue around that. And because I've used the same die to cut out the circle and the bumblebee, it's going to fit exactly around that circle over there. I'm not worried that it's covering the dragonfly's head because the vellum is going to go over. And then we're going to stick this onto our bumblebee card base. Now, the blends do bleed through, but again, we're not worried about that because this is being stuck down. If this piece wasn't being stuck down, if it was going to be a card that sort of opened up normally, then maybe we would want to stick something behind it so that it's not that obvious. But for this one, not an issue. And now I'm going to flip my dragonfly back over so that we know which side is the right side. And punch it out. I'm taking my paper snips, or you could use your bone folder, and just with the edge, I'm just running it over so that we're going to give those wings a slight curl. Now, to stick my dragon down, I'm going to put some glue along the bottom there. And I'm going to use my glue dots. Now, as sort of small as these glue dots are, sometimes they are still too big. So cutting off an edge of your paper, pick up a glue dot and put it onto the paper. Then we want to fold that paper over the glue dot and trying to see where it is, cut through the glue dot twice. So if I open that up, I've actually cut my glue dot into 3, and then picking up an edge, I'm going to put my cut up glue dot along the back of the body. Looks like I managed to cut that one into 2. Sometimes you can cut it into 3 depending on where your glue dot is, but hang on, I've got a tiny little bit here, so I did get it into 3, just not 3 even bits, but that's okay as long as it'll stay. And then I'm going to stick it exactly over the body of my stamped dragonfly. Onto a scrap of paper, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. We're going with the thank you for your kindness. Stamping that in memento. this seems to be one of my favorite things at the moment, is just cutting out the shape of the words. Not big on fussy cutting, but this gives a little bit of interest and something different when you don't have dies, instead of having something on a regular shaped die. And we're going to stick that onto the DSP. And that's our card. We've got our dragonfly floating along. The vellum makes it look a little bit lacy like a real dragonfly. And when you open it, you've got your pretty flowers inside. Hope you enjoyed that card. If you want to be informed the next time I post a video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you next time.